So, if you've ever set a big goal for yourself and then watched it completely fall apart, this explainer is for you. We're going to break down a totally different way to think about habits, one that's a lot less about sheer willpower and way more about smart design. And it all starts with a question I think we've all asked ourselves at some point.
I mean, it's a super common experience, isn't it? You start the new year with all this motivation to hit the gym or finally start saving, and then boom, by February, it's like it never even happened. You're right back where you started. So why? Why does this happen again and again?
Well, here's an idea that might surprise you. We tend to think that successful people just have better, more ambitious goals. But get this, winners and losers, they often have the exact same goals. Every Olympian wants to win the gold, right? So if the goal itself isn't what separates them, what is? It turns out the people who make changes that actually stick aren't superhuman. They're not necessarily born with more discipline. They just get these three fundamental pillars of change that most of us completely miss. So let's dive into the first one because it's the most important. This is the absolute key. See, most of us, we start with the outcome. We say, I want to lose 20 pounds. That's an outcome-based goal. But people who succeed, they start with identity. They think, I want to become the type of person who is healthy and active. They're not just chasing a result, they're focusing on who they want to be. Just think about how powerful the language is here. Someone who says, I'm trying to quit smoking is still fighting. They still see themselves as a smoker who's struggling. It takes a ton of willpower. But the person who says, no thanks, I'm not a smoker, they've already changed their identity. The choice is easy because it's just who they are now. So how do you actually build this new identity? It's not about wishful thinking. It's about proof. Every single time you take an action, it's like you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. You don't have to change everything overnight. You just start casting these tiny votes, collecting little pieces of evidence for your new self.
Okay, pillar number 2 is all about one thing: forgetting motivation. Seriously, motivation is fickle. It comes and goes. It's like a battery that's always running low. Instead of relying on that, successful people rely on systems. And a system is just about designing your world so that doing the right thing is the path of least resistance.
This is so important to realize. On your worst day, when you're tired and stressed and your motivation is at zero, you're not going to magically rise up and meet your biggest goals. Nope. You're going to fall to the level of your systems. You're going to do whatever is easiest. And that's exactly why designing a good system is so critical. And the third pillar is consistency. This right here, this is where most people get stuck. We've all been in what's called the valley of disappointment. You know the feeling. You're putting in the work day after day, but you see absolutely nothing. The scale doesn't move. You don't see any progress. And this is the danger zone where almost everyone quits because they think what they're doing isn't working. But it is. You see, progress with habits isn't a straight line. It's exponential. Think of an ice cube in a freezing room. If you raise the temperature from -5 to -1 degree, it's still a block of ice. Nothing looks different on the outside. But all that effort is being stored up. And then you hit 0 degrees and bam, it melts. That's how habits work. Getting just 1% better each day means you'll be a staggering 37 times better by the end of the year. Okay, so that's the big picture mindset, right? Identity, systems, consistency. Now let's get practical. Let's get into the toolkit. To actually build these habits, we need to understand the 4 simple laws that run the whole show. Every single habit we have, from biting your nails to checking your phone, runs on this simple 4-step loop in our brains. First, there's a cue, or a trigger. That leads to a craving. The craving motivates a response, or the actual habit. And that response delivers a reward. Understanding this loop is the secret to rewriting any habit you want. And here's the cool part. We can hijack that loop. If you want to build a good habit, you just need to make the cue obvious, the craving attractive, the response easy, and the reward satisfying. And if you want to break a bad habit, you just flip it. Make it invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. It's like a user manual for your brain. So let's start with law number 1. Make it obvious. A habit can't even begin if the trigger for it never shows up. You know, most of us don't really have a motivation problem. We have an environment problem. Our world is just littered with cues for our bad habits. So the fix is to make the cues for your good habits impossible to miss. Want to read more? Put the book right on your pillow. Want to drink more water? Keep a bottle on your desk, always in sight. A really powerful technique is called habit stacking. You just link a new habit to one you already do automatically. Like, after I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. Easy. All right, moving on to law 2, make it attractive. We don't do things just because they're good for us. We do them because we want to do them. That craving is what powers the whole loop. If a habit feels like a total chore, you're just never going to stick with it.
So you can make habits way more attractive. First, just change your language. Don't say, I have to go train. Say, I get to go build my strength. Feel the difference? Second, you can use something called temptation bundling. This is fun. You pair a habit you need to do with something you really want to do. For instance, you only let yourself listen to your favorite podcast while you're cleaning the house. All of a sudden, the chore becomes a treat.
Law number 3 is all about reducing friction. Look, the more energy and effort a habit takes, the less likely you are to do it, especially when you're tired. The real secret is to make the right choice the easiest possible option.
And the absolute best way to make a habit easy is the 2-minute rule. The idea is to scale down any new habit so it takes less than 2 minutes to start. Read a book before bed becomes read 1 page. Go for a run becomes put on your running shoes. That's it. The goal isn't to be perfect. It's just to master the art of showing up. You can worry about making it harder later.
And that brings us to our final law. Make it satisfying. Here's the big problem with good habits. Their rewards are way off in the future. The real benefit of that workout might not show up for weeks. And our brains, they're just not built for that kind of delayed gratification. They want a reward right now.
So you have to find a way to create an immediate reward. And it can be super simple. Just the act of putting a big X on a calendar after you do your habit gives your brain a little hit of satisfaction. It makes you feel successful in the moment. Tracking your progress and building a streak, it makes the process itself feel good, which makes you want to do it again. Okay, you've used the 4 laws. You've built a new habit. Awesome. But how do you keep it going for good? This is the part that almost everybody misses, because any successful habit will eventually become boring. The real challenge isn't just starting, it's staying consistent when the novelty wears off.
Here are 3 keys for the long haul. First, live by the never miss twice rule. Hey, life happens. Missing once is an accident, but missing twice? That's the start of a new bad habit. Second, you gotta stay in the Goldilocks zone, where the habit is not too hard and not too easy so it stays engaging. And finally, do a weekly review. Just check in, see what's working, and make adjustments. Your habits need to evolve with you.
So let's just end with this. It all comes back to that first pillar, identity. Don't worry about creating the perfect routine for the rest of your life tomorrow. Instead, just ask yourself this. What is one tiny, 2-minute action you can take today? What is one small vote you can cast right now for the person you truly want to become?